Standards, boundaries, those are two things that everybody's going to need in order to have a successful transformation and then keep the results. So with a lot of like fads out there and a lot of different marketing tools and marketing buzzwords that you'll find on protein bars, on certain types of foods that also that meal prep companies use and things like that, there's a lot of confusion and it's information overload out there. And also just like a lot of people aren't well educated enough to interpret the information that they're receiving. So then you'll have people who say they want to lose fat, they want to burn fat, and they want to be toned more specifically. And they'll, just eat a bunch of keto meals. They'll see low sugar or gluten-free or non-GMO on wrappers, and they'll eat that not knowing that they're over-consuming on fat, which is more than double in terms of calories. It has more than twice the amount of calories that a gram of protein or carbs has. So they're just way over-consuming on their calories. They're not on a caloric deficit. And, they think they're doing good by picking these non-GMO foods, these keto foods, but in reality, they're just doing themselves much more harm. They get frustrated with the results. Things don't work out. On the contrary, there's people who are maybe fasting for a really long period of time. They'll do like 4 or 5 day fasts. They'll burn like 15 pounds and then they binge eat and they binge eat and they binge eat and then they're back to where they started. You'll see people who juice. And I've heard stories of people who they'll go on a juicing diet and then they'll literally pass out on the stairs like, day 4, day 5. And again, just all this seesawing, all these ups and downs and inconsistencies in their lifestyle, in their eating patterns. And there is no clear goal, or I should say there's no clear process on how to get to their goal. And there's a lack of understanding on what it takes to achieve and keep their goal, which is also extremely important and very important for me when I set up my clients and just throughout their coaching experience too. I want to make sure that everything is very, very sustainable. And with all that being said, there is an information overload, and we like to complicate things and have sometimes we like to be sold on things. We like someone to stand in front of us and say, hey, this is how it is and this and that, and if you buy this protein bar, it has this and it has that. And the truth is, you want to keep it stupid simple. You want to have standards that you can meet over and over and over and over again. And you do not want to overcomplicate your system. A complicated fitness and nutrition plan is going to fail 9 times out of 10. Even when you look at like a professional athlete, even let's say a UFC fighter, they're cutting weight, they're going to have different supplements that they have to take leading up to their weight cut, and then they're going to cut water and do a couple of different things. But that's as complicated as it's going to get. If you're a woman with PCOS, if you're pregnant, you're going through menopause, there's a couple of different micronutrient adjustments that need to be made, but that's about as complicated as it's going to get. But the moment you start saying, I'm doing a modified keto for 2 weeks and then I'm going to fast and then I'm going to do this and then I'm going to do that, it's just a recipe for failure. And it's really hard because all these companies, they're very aggressive with all these different marketing tactics and buzzwords, and it's hard. It's very, very misleading. But if you have, at the end of the day, there's what works and what doesn't. And so we know we need to be in a caloric deficit if we want to burn fat. We know we need to lift weights if we want to be stronger. We know we need to lift weights if we want to permanently increase our metabolism permanently, and that way burn fat sustainably. We know we need to do those things, and people will do everything they can to try to avoid doing those things. And that's part of that has to do with consumerism and people being able to exploit that successfully. They know people want shortcuts, so they feed them these different words and these different trends, and ultimately just hurts them in the end. And the companies, they benefit from it. But if you're honest with yourself and you have a coach who's honest with you, then that it's going to take standards, boundaries, a really strong mindset. Those are the things that you're going to need if you're going to get and keep your results. So three standards that I ask my clients to meet. I call them the 3 gold standards. Is one of them's a mindset standard, the other one's a nutrition standard, and the other one is a fitness standard. So again, keep it stupid simple. That's how I approach fitness, or I should say a transformation, a personal transformation. I approach it with those 3 categories: mindset, nutrition, and fitness. And I have a gold standard for each one of them that I have my clients hit. So the first standard, be sober 100% of the days on your program. Huge. So there is a principle called the Pareto's principle. 20% of the work gets you 80% of the results. Being sober is so important. Why? So let's start with the cortisol spike. So we do not want to spike our cortisol, right? Stress. When your body's stressed out, you retain water, you retain weight. Your body's like, man, what is going on? You are literally retaining more weight, right? So the second reason, you're poisoning yourself. Alcohol is terrible for you. You are hurting your body. You are compromising your immune system. You're killing micronutrients that you need in order to live a healthy life. You are poisoning your body. So even myself, I've been sober for a very, very long time. You can for sure say 6 years. I'm just like fully sober, not even like a what's it called? A toast at a quinceañera or something. Not even that. 6 years. So I'm completely sober, and it's a game changer. And because I've been sober for 6 years, I'll ask my clients, hey, can you be sober for 6 months? It's not a crazy ask. It's not something that I'm just asking but not doing myself. So that's a very, very important one for those reasons, from the health standpoint alone. And now we talk about from a social standpoint. We have our group calls on Friday nights. It's really hard to be on Zoom with a couple other people, let's say like 3 or 4 heads. Right now I have 12 clients, so we'll get about like a quarter of them pulling up, so it'll be like 3 to 4 people plus myself, making it 5. It's hard to get into a group of 5 people and then tell them your goals, tell them the progress you've made this week, and then immediately heading out the front door, getting hammered, and taking a massive back step, and then having to spend Saturday morning recovering. So from a social standpoint, being sober is going to keep you on pace. It's going to keep you attached to the group call. You're going to show up to the group call. You're going to go over the goals. You're going to hear the progress that other people are making, following the same principles, crushing their meal plan, and doing these very fundamental things at a high level. So there's the social aspect. Then there's the time aspect. Saturday morning, instead of doing some cardio, instead of doing some walking, some self-reflection, doing something healthy, or Saturdays I'll post some content as well that people can just feed off of, learn from. So instead of being focused on that, instead of taking some time to read, reconnecting with your partner after a long week, you're curing a hangover. That's also a ton of time. And people will have orange juice, they'll have milk. Now we're talking adding more calories. So it's just being sober is 20% is like I said, 20% of the work gets you 80% of the results. That will automatically just set you so far ahead and give you a very, very strong foundation to crush your meal plan and do your workouts. If you're sober, you are far ahead of the game, and you're also preventing yourself from taking back steps, which we do not want to take. We do not want to take back steps. We want to take one step forward every single day, 1% better, and then make that agreement with ourselves that we're not going to take back steps. And alcohol is the ultimate back step. People will, the repercussions of alcohol, they range. There's a range, right? They vary. So it could be as simple as just you're gaining an extra pound over the weekend, an extra 1 or 2 pounds, and you're missing your first 2 workouts of the week because you had a really bad just night out, and maybe you're recovering socially, you pissed someone off, someone pissed you off, things that shouldn't have been said were said. Then there's also people go to jail, they get a DUI, they get into a fight, they get into a crash while under the influence, and then things just get out of hand. So we're going to eliminate alcohol during the duration of your program, so that you understand that you can do it, and so that you can see what it's like to be sober, and just the clarity that you get mentally, and it's going to impact your life positively. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. So that's the first gold standard. The second gold standard is you have to crush your macros. And what does that mean? So if you don't know what macros are, it's proteins, carbs, and fats. A 1 gram of protein has 4 calories. And you can think of protein, its function in your body is like the building blocks for muscle and for structure in general. But in this case, we're thinking primarily in terms of muscle mass. Carbs they're 4 calories per gram, and their function, short-term energy. Let's think about it like that, just short-term energy. You're going to go to the gym, you're going to go to, let's say if you're a football player, you're going to have a lot of carbs pre-game, you're going to have some Gatorade at halftime maybe. You want quick carbs, energy that you can expend right away. Then there's fats, 9 calories per gram of fat. Keep that in mind. And slow energy helps with just joint health, things like that, softens up the inside of your body, you could say. So it keeps the hormones regulated. That's what it's for. And we want to be within 3 grams of each macronutrient. So I will give, let's say the example I use on my intro packet is like, let's say I were to give someone these assigned macros: 120 grams of protein, 100 grams of 100 grams of carbs, and 30 grams of fat. You want to be within 3 grams. So 3 grams under or at the actual number. So not 3 grams over. When I say within 3 grams, I mean like at or under by 3 grams. But for simplicity, I'd always just say be within 3 grams, and then I give the proper example. So for that person, in an acceptable day, them crushing their macros would be having 117 of their 120 grams of protein, having 97 of their 100 grams of carbs, and having 27 of their 30 grams of fat. If they were over by 1 gram on their protein, over by 1 gram on their carbs, over by 1 gram on their fat, they would not be crushing it. So in order to crush your macros, you need to be within 3 grams of each macronutrient. And that means at or under by 3 grams. So that will automatically take care of the caloric deficit, and you will be burning more fat you will be burning more energy than you would be consuming at that point. So that's the goal of a caloric deficit. And that would automatically take care of itself, and we would have the right balance of, protein, carbs, and fat, and make sure your body's still functioning well. And the way I make those numbers depends on the person's consultation form and what they've got going on. Carbs are going to vary depending on, the person's weight, if they're pre-diabetic or diabetic, things like that. I won't get too into detail on that. If you need a personalized nutrition plan, and maybe you do have something like I mentioned before, just some sort of hormone imbalance or just some sort of struggle that you've had that causes you to eat in a different way or to gain weight in an unexpected or unorthodox way, then definitely let me know. I've worked with people who have been recovering from heart attacks, people with high blood pressure, people with diabetes, people who are pre-diabetic, you name it. So if you need help with that, I can help you out, and I'd explain it in detail and get you on the right track. But those are the numbers I use for the example, and that's what crushing your macros is. You're within 3 grams of each macronutrient 100% of the days, and you never go over on any one of your macronutrient requirements. The third gold standard is the easiest and the funnest, and oftentimes I'll just start people here. Just you don't want to overwhelm them with the sobriety and the macro stuff, so it's just like, hey, let's have some fun in the gym. And that third gold standard is you have to improve every workout. So you either do an extra rep, you add 5 pounds to the bar on a big lift, a big compound lift, or you cut your rest times by 15 seconds every single workout. So we either improve with volume, max weight, or intensity. Those are the 3 areas that you can improve on every single workout. And it's the easiest. On the Trainerize app, you'll have your plan, and you'll take a good look at it. Let's say you have 4 sets of 10, and for overhead dumbbell press. And last week it'll show you your numbers, and it says, hey, last week you used the 25s for every single one, and it's you did 10 reps. Be like, hey, like I don't think I can go up another 5 pounds, but I'll just do an extra rep each set. So now instead of 10 reps, you do 11 reps, and then you improved for that workout. So that's the goal with every single workout. Just always get a little bit better, never get worse, push yourself. And you do those 3 things just over and over again. You get your sobriety in order. Once you're sober, you are proving to yourself that you can do something that's difficult. You can go against the grain, that you have some conviction. When people are trying to pull you out of your house, out of the gym, and tell you, hey, let's go out to drink. Remember like we used to. You have the strength to say no and to pick your goals over the opinions of other people. And something that I always say, and one of our pillars, is conviction. And the reason conviction is so important is because any goal that is valued more than the opinions of other people becomes reality. So your goal will become a reality if you value your goal more than the opinions of other people. If you don't, if you value the opinions of other people more than your own goals, then you're toast. Because then at that point, your chicken salad is soft, your healthy tacos are, uncultured, and you're gonna hear it from everybody, and it's gonna hurt so bad that you're just gonna, you're gonna stop making the adjustments that you've been making. You're gonna stop eating your healthy foods. You're gonna stop portioning your plate and eating responsibly. You're gonna start drinking again, and we do not want that. So when you are sober, that's probably the biggest mindset win, especially in this day and age, where partying is just getting pushed to a completely different level, and that gives you the confidence to say no, to set boundaries. That's what you need. That's what we all want, and we want to have the strength and confidence to be able to set our boundaries, prioritize ourselves, and crush our goals. So being sober gives us that. It provides us with that. So sometimes I'll just start people off if I feel like it might be a little tough or it's a completely new concept. It's like, hey, let's do 21 days in a row where you're sober. And then by the 21st day, they're like, hey, I can do this. And it's not a problem. And at that point, everything else that you give them is just easy. Every macro adjustment, every intensity increase in the gym, nothing. They already proved to themselves that they can be sober for 21 days in a row. And before that, they had only been sober for like 1 weekend. So they crushed a serious demon when they did that. And now they have the confidence to crush their game plan. And of course, the immediate health benefits of being sober are priceless as well. So it's a win from every single side, from a mindset, nutrition, and fitness standpoint, and just from a practicality standpoint, from a quality of life standpoint. Being sober is a huge pro, but we do it more than anything for that mindset win, for that confidence, and for people to just be like, hey, I was sober for 21 days. Of course, I can do it for the remainder of my program. If I get to 100, 160 days, like cake. So that's why that's the first gold standard. And the second, crush your macros. Your body will not change if you don't have the correct macros, period. You cannot train a bad diet. You won't outtrain a bad diet. And we have to have the macros dialed in, point blank, period. You got to improve every single workout. If you don't improve every single workout, if you're not pushing yourself, then your body is just going to plateau. Your strength will plateau, your conditioning will plateau, and ultimately your mind will plateau as well. You're just kind of doing the same thing over and over again and not seeing anything different. So we want to be able to keep pushing ourselves in the gym, adding those 5 pounds, adding that extra rep, and cutting the rest times, increasing in intensity. But yeah, those are the 3 standards that I ask of everybody. And ultimately, what are we after? We're after a healthier life, sustainable fat loss. We want to get to those 2 pounds of fat weekly, and those 3 standards, they're the prerequisite for that. And of course, that's the bone right in front of us, is the 2 pounds. Right, we all want to burn those 2 pounds of fat weekly, but then in the long run, you get so used to hitting these standards and meeting these standards, you don't want to regress just as a person. You don't want to walk back on all the work you've already done, and you already made yourself proud, so you don't want to take a back step on that. So that's why crushing these 3 standards and holding yourself to these 3 standards, and me holding my clients to these 3 standards is so important, because we ultimately want to hit those 2 pounds of fat per week, but we also want it to stay off. We don't want to bounce back, and we don't want to be that person that was like, hey, like, remember when I was on my stuff, remember like back in the day this, back in the day that. We do not want to be that person. We want to be on a steady incline forever and ever, and this is how you do it. So those are 3 standards that if you don't have a program, definitely hit me up or hit someone up that will help you, because you need that discipline. It's a completely different ballgame when you are just dialed in for sure, and you have a game plan, you have a definitive aim every single day, every single week, and you can look back month over month and just be like, man, I'm crushing it. So it's a completely different ballgame, and you have to have standards. We all need structure. If that wasn't the case, then everyone at the local gym who's been going forever would all be under 15% body fat. They'd all be getting stronger. They'd all be, with living a much healthier life, having amazing relationships and all these different things. But obviously that is not the case. But with those 3 standards, and, I've been in the gym 10 plus years, tried many different things, and, seen a lot, heard a lot, studied a lot. I'm in school for nutritional sciences. Obviously, I'm NASM, ZPT, nutrition coach, all that. Always communicating with people in the industry, and things are changing. I'm also, I have a consumer packaged good, a best-selling consumer packaged good in the grocery section. So I'm around food all the time, always talking to people, always rubbing shoulders. And, this is kind of the conclusion that I've come to after all this intense effort for 10 years is, those three pillars, is those 3 standards, I should say, they're what we need, and they're a definitive prerequisite for burning 2 pounds of fat per week and ultimately being healthy for the rest of your life.